it's really a story about an interpreter who doesn't get on with his American sergeant, so to speak, and um, the unit that belongs to the sergeant and who the interpreter belongs to, they get wiped out. So the only person that's left is the interpreter and the sergeant. And then starts a 120-mile journey, or 120 clicks, back from where they got taken out to all the way back to their base camp. And during that journey of 120 clicks, they meet all sorts of trials and tribulations, but the sergeant is basically semi-conscious for the whole thing, as he took a beating onto the head in the initial conflict. So it's really a story about what one man is prepared to do in order to get. He takes on the onus of and the responsibility of taking this chap back to his base. I watched a series of documentaries about Afghanistan, and I could see the collaboration between the interpreters and their sergeants, so to speak, their American colleagues, and how that bond developed. The deal was that they would end up in America, and then how complicated that became and how dangerous it was for the interpreters. And I just think that's a rather interesting dynamic. I write, I'd say 80 or 90% of anything I've shot in the last 4 movies on the day. So I reckon, I reckon probably 90% of it's written on the day. And I like to collaborate the actors with that. So they are involved in that sense. And you'll spend the first hour of the day just writing everything. All I need is a structure. I'm a big fan of Jake because of his galaxy of work, which is pretty broad. He has a pretty broad canon of work. So I've wanted to work with him for years, actually. Jake just came to collaborate, and we had what I'd say is a perfect sort of creative collaboration, which was, again, we'd go through the process of rewriting everything on the day, and Jake is a professional. I mean, you need to work with non-professionals to appreciate professionals. Acting is incredibly hard. It just is, and it's a skill, and it needs to be crafted and developed. I have an enormous respect for actors. I mean, because I spend most of my life with them, certainly my professional life. And I'm not sure if it gets as much credit, and it sort of gets credit in the wrong places, if you know what I mean. He's got a rather nice face in the sense that he just looks like a good guy, and it's hard to analyze what aspect of his face induces such a reaction, a response. But his personality is very similar too. So he is what he looks like. And of all the actors that we went through, as you can imagine, there was a lot. He just had the most amount of charisma, honestly. Once there's a gun in the room, there's tension. And once there's tension, then you have random acts of surprising spontaneity that are both positive and negative. But that's what I suppose we're interested in is how do people react when there's a gun in the room? And war is the perfect arena to ratchet that tension into both the viewer and the psychology of the actor or the participant in the drama. I thought we were in Afghanistan. And it's an odd thing. As you're making a movie, everyone is standing around you is all dressed up in Taliban's outfits, and they're all running around in those sort of SUVs with 50 cals bolted onto the back. And you just end up thinking, well, I am in Afghanistan. We shot in Spain, which I was sure was Afghanistan. What I get out of this film is I'm actually inspired by the journey, and what one person's prepared to do for another. And you want to focus on that rather than the alternative, don't you? You want to focus on authentic generosity. And we had to go for some lengths not to make this saccharine. And that's, I had to work very hard against that. It's almost like they don't like each other. And even after the journey, they still don't really like each other. And that's not, and honestly, whether you like someone or not is not important. It's how much you respect someone that's important. And have they allowed you to exercise your altruism or your generous side? And this is the argument with children. Do you owe children? Do they owe you? Because once you have children, they allow you to express your generosity. Now, again, it comes with all the caveats and all the conditions of exercising your generosity. But people are at their best when they are expressing their generous nature.